this morning. And good morning, President Roderick Walker. How's it going?
Good morning, Matt. It's going good so far. About 20 pounds overweight, but it's a good day. Good morning, GPAR membership. Good morning, our guest, Byron Smith. Top of the morning to you.
Good morning.
Matt, thanks for hosting the Coffee Talk this morning, and thanks everyone, the membership, for joining us this morning. I think we have a good, robust session scheduled for you this morning, and this session is going to introduce the room here to Byron Smith, and along with some understanding for the commercial aspect for the real estate industry. And so I am excited to have our guest Byron with us this morning. And so Byron, thanks for joining us. With no further ado, Byron, take some time to introduce yourself to the room and give us an overview of who you are and what you do and how you come to practice commercial real estate. Thanks, Byron.
Well, thank you for having me, Roderick. I appreciate the opportunity to be with the members of GPAR. I'm an attorney by training, and I actually went to law school right up the road from you all in Philadelphia, up at Rutgers, Newark Law School back in the early 70s. I have been an attorney for 46 years now, but I'm retired from any practice. I originally started as an attorney for the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, where I dealt with legal, financing, and subsidy issues associated with large multifamily projects that became successful in the D.C. metropolitan area. Following that, I went on to, like a lot of attorneys in the Washington D.C. area, went on the private sector and went to a relatively large K Street law firm. Spent time there as a real estate and tax attorney. The firm's practice was commercial real estate, banking, and taxation matters. And while there, I had the opportunity to have a front row seat to see how so many of the large investors and developers in my area, to see what they were doing and how they did it. And it was extremely interesting, but not exactly what I wanted to do. So in the early 80s, I left and established my firm, which is Metropolitan Realty Group, which is involved and has been and continues to be involved with advisory and consulting, as well as investment. And I spent a lot of time acquiring with partners investment properties in the apartment and multifamily, as well as the suburban office market sector, with the focus on really tax efficient investing and focusing on properties that have been in distress, that needed some kind of change. For example, properties that might have been in bankruptcy, or properties that were subject to foreclosure or poor management. So we would do turnarounds. And that's been my involvement in the commercial real estate industry. I've been a CCIM instructor for 30 years, or just about 30 years, 30 years in a couple of months. And I've had the privilege during that time of spending a lot of time overseas, bringing the CCIM Institute. And for those of you who are not familiar with it, the CCIM Institute is the commercial affiliate of the National Association of Realtors. So I spent a lot of time bringing their program around the world in terms of Asia, Eastern Europe, and Central America. So that's essentially my story. I'm beginning to slow down a lot, but still have found that there's always a need for education.
Good. No, thanks for sharing. Thanks for sharing your backstory, Byron. And you're right. You know, the CCIM Institute is an affiliate of the National Association of Realtors, and this membership here is largely made up of residential practitioners, and some of those practitioners dabble in the commercial space. And what I'd like you to share with us today is from a macro scale of how the CCIM Institute education can help not only the residential practitioner, but the commercial practitioner sharpen their skills. I say sharpen their axe so that they can go out and be efficient and provide quality, advisory opportunities for their clients. So can you share what that looks like for the room here?
Well, certainly, Roderick. Um, the Institute, and I think I'll get to that in just a minute, but let me step back, because if most of the audience is residential practitioners, composed of residential practitioners, perhaps we might want to at least define, if you will, the commercial real estate sector, so that
Exactly.
we can have a clear understanding of what that practice is like. And of course, the education that is provided by the CCIM Institute clearly does allow individuals to enhance their ability to perform in the commercial arena. But when we talk about commercial real estate, we're really talking about property that's used primarily for business-related purposes, or to provide workspace most of the time. And the only exception would, of course, be large multifamily properties. Those provide residences for individuals. But for the most part, we're thinking about things like downtown office in Philly, or suburban Philly office space that's to be leased or managed, or industrial warehouses. If you stop and think about the industrial warehousing that might be along the Delaware River outside of Philly, or along the river side, retail, lodging, and of course multifamily. So the commercial encompasses all of those top property types. But the education that the Institute provides is really along the lines of providing a understanding of finance and market analysis, and leasing versus owning, as well as investment analysis, and in terms of being able to give people a very concise and broad understanding of what the marketplace is about, and how you address so many issues associated with commercial real estate.
Thanks for sharing that. Thanks for sharing that, Byron. Let's go into some reasoning for pursuing a career in commercial real estate education. Byron, can you talk to us about what that looks like from your lens?
In other words, why you would pursue a commercial real estate education?
Yes.
Oh, there are many reasons for you to pursue that commercial real estate education. One of those important reasons is, of course, if you're a commercial, and you mentioned that some of the individuals might dabble in commercial real estate, but if you stop and think about it, one of the primary reasons you would pursue that commercial real estate education is because, with respect to Article 11 of the Realtors Code of Ethics, which requires that you always evidence a level of competence in your practice. And of course, there are so many pitfalls for realtors who engage in commercial real estate activity, not knowing the many issues that could be potential traps for them if they're not knowledgeable. So, of course, by virtue of that simple requirement of the Code of Ethics, you would certainly need to and want to have a high level of competence. And the way you gain that is, of course, one, by experience, but also by education.
Thank.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to ask you. No, I think that's good information. And once you acquire the education and understanding from a CCIM perspective, how would that help you grow your business and service your clients, Byron?
Well, first and foremost, on the commercial side of the street, there is a real requirement for knowledge. Clients and customers are always going to be seeking, they're going to be seeking advice that is coming from an individual that's extremely knowledgeable. I mean, we are talking about issues associated with financing, issues associated with demographic and market analysis. If you cannot bring to bear the knowledge that the client is looking for, as opposed to simply saying, let's identify a piece of property you want to take or use or buy, and ultimately try to put them into a lease or a purchase agreement, that could ultimately be a large negative to you, in that you're not really servicing the client. The client is looking for advice, because commercial real estate is simply about business. It is the business of business. And if you're not able to properly advise the client based upon your knowledge, you're not serving their needs, if that makes sense to you.
It does. Let's talk about the money question. What are potential earning powers for someone with a solid commercial education?
Well, let's talk about, first of all, there are a lot of factors that are going to come into play with respect to earnings. First and foremost, we could talk about the area of practice that you choose. Are you doing leasing versus investment? It could be how many years in the business. That's going to impact the earnings that you get. Are you what geographic location are you in? Are you in a major city or a tertiary market? What's your level of education, as we just referenced? And then the type of firm that you're affiliated with. Are you with a major flag firm, or are you with a local firm? Are you with a boutique type of firm? That will all impact your earnings. But I know you're asking, well, what could commercial realtors potentially earn? Well, recent studies are showing that for brokerage, and again, we can step back and talk about other areas of commercial practice, but for brokerage, the median, meaning half of the people are above and half are below, would be about $138,500 a year. The average, about $189,000. But again, that's going to be dependent upon all of those factors that I previously referenced. That you could have, obviously, geographic location. In a large city like Philly, you're going to have much greater earning power than if you're in an area like Lancaster.
Absolutely, and that's good, because one of the things that happens is you hear in this space is folks say, I want to do commercial, because they think about the fees. They're bigger fees, they're larger fees, and so it becomes eye-popping. And to your point, there's a way to develop that roadmap. To your point, which firm you with, a large firm, a small firm, and an asset class. And then I look at it from, what's your interest, what's your skill set, right? If you like numbers, you're going to be doing cash flow analysis for multifamily versus retail. Is different. You've got a Burger King or a retail store that wants to Popeyes that wants to go into a particular area. Then we have to do a void analysis to kind of see where those gaps are to determine, what are the demographics? Does this store have the ability to thrive and go 5-10 years out? And in order for it to be to be profitable. And some of those, maybe it's a triple net lease or it's a ground lease, and we really need to develop the skill set to be able to advise effectively the client's path towards success.
That's correct, and also, what we didn't mention, we tend to focus on brokerage, but there's so many other areas of practice that are available in the commercial real estate arena. In other words, rather than just focusing on the traditional, which would be brokerage, where you might be a leasing agent, where you're representing the landlord, or you may represent the tenant, and tenant representation is a very, very strong area of practice for commercial realtors that are engaged in the brokerage side of the business. You could be on the investment side, where individual investors are purchasing property, and they could represent the owner of the property, or alternatively, they could be the buyer representative, just as agents do in the residential side of the business. But beyond leasing and investment sales, there's also financing. Real estate has to be financed. And so, just as we were talking before we got on this call, you were discussing a issue of financing a project in Philly with one of our mutual friends, with one of the major banking institutions.
Right.
Again, that's financing, that's the capital markets, and we have public capital markets, and we have private capital markets that the real estate agents could be involved in. That's another area of practice. And of course, there's the appraisal side of the business, because every piece of real estate has to be appraised. Every institution that's lending money, in order to, and whether they're public or private, are going to have a valuation of a piece of property. So appraisal is another area that they could become involved in. And then property management. We've got day-to-day property management, where we're guiding the property on a daily basis, or alternatively asset management, where you're dealing with developing effective strategies to mitigate the potential risk of the asset and to make sure that it maintains its profitability. So there are issues of site selection that you just mentioned. Think about, for example, AutoZone or
Right.
Dollar General. They need sites, and realtors who are well-versed in demographic analysis and psychographic analysis could find and identify the sites for a particular user. You've got corporate facility management that's available for many corporations. Need their facilities properly managed and guided. So there are just many, many areas of commercial real estate that could be possible areas of involvement. In other words, the world is bigger than just brokerage.
No, absolutely, I agree. And to pivot a bit, on the CCIM portal, as a member or designee, you have the site to do business, which is a tool provided to the members that helps provide some of the analytics and the demographic space. Can you talk about how that membership and how the education will continue to provide the long-term educational tools for its members to just have a strong foundation in the commercial space?
Oh, well, that's one of the real benefits of the Institute and what it provides to its members. The site to do business, for those of you who are not familiar with it, is a portal which is just unbelievably powerful. It provides analysis of market areas. It can provide demographic analysis, showing you who's in the marketplace, what types of employment they have, how much they earn, how much each household is making, how large the household are, how educated the household are. And I just saw something pop in the screen. I know we're holding questions from the audience until the end of the presentation, but the discussion, but the portal is called the Site to Do Business online. It's a STDB, Site to Do Business, and it is part of CCIM.com, which is the commercial affiliate of the National Association of Realtors. And so what you have is a resource that allows you to do market analysis. It allows you to understand where the commercial real estate market is and where it may be headed. And of course, that is extremely critical if you are either a user or an investor.
Thanks for sharing that, Byron. Byron, now let's talk about one of the big reasons why you're here. We're scheduled to kick off in January 22nd, Introduction to Commercial Real Estate. And so I'd like to take this time to have you talk about that program and some of the features and benefits so that the room here gets an understanding of what they could expect, not only in January, but the goal is to bring this education to the associate members going forward. So if you could, talk about that, I think that'd be exciting.
Sure. Well, the course that we're going to bring up to the GPAR on January 22nd is it's the basics of commercial real estate. Commercial real estate practitioners have to learn certain minimal or have a minimal knowledge base. And so we're going to work on those basic concepts. We're going to talk about the commercial real estate property types and transactions. Who owns commercial real estate and why do they own commercial real estate? We'll look at lease structures. Many of you who are on the call may have already started to do leasing of some sort on the commercial side of the street. We'll talk about the different types of lease structures, whether they are gross leases or modified gross leases or triple net leases or absolute net leases. We'll talk about the economics of leases and operating expenses. And if you're in the retail arena, percentage rent. We're going to talk about investment real estate. In other words, you've got a client. And again, many of the practitioners on the call may very well have residential clients that they've sold a home to, and that home owner is a business owner as well. Well, there's your commercial opportunity right there. They may be a doctor, an accountant, or a business owner that owns multiple restaurants. They need space. Those are opportunities for you to pick up real estate transactions, but you have to know if they're buying from an investment perspective, what's the net operating income of the property? What's the cash on cash return before tax? What's the capitalization rate? We'll talk about basic commercial property characteristics and how we distinguish them. And we have many course objectives, things like developing the confidence. One of the keys for you as realtors that are going to switch over to the commercial side of the street, or maybe dabble on both sides of the street, but you need to have the confidence and competence to make that entry into the commercial real estate industry. You may have had scenarios where commercial realtors don't really want to deal with the residential realtors because they feel that they have to give them an education or train them as part of the doing the transaction. Well, this will at least give you the basics that you need, the ammunition that you need to do well on the commercial side of the street to get you started. We'll talk and learn about the 5 basic commercial real estate asset classes and understanding the various types of commercial real estate transactions that you could be involved in. So, I could give you another 15 course objectives, but I think you get the idea.
I do. Now, this is good stuff, Byron, and thank you. And so, if you think about, and as I do from time, about how do you chop down a 100-year-old a cherry tree? The first thing you got to do is sharpen the axe, right? And so
That's
this class's education will provide that opportunity of sharpening the axe. And look, if you want to be one of the best, one of the top 1% in your space, you sharpen the axe. And I believe that your course and the institutes provide that education because you want to be a market expert. You want to go out and you want to be able to, at a high level, compete with the competition in a friendly way. And so, having market knowledge and having that basic fundamental education is paramount to sharpening the axe, setting yourself apart from competition in your market space. So we all should know the market well. You can't control the amount of time you've been in the commercial space, but you can control maybe the education piece and learn a slice of the market so that you can go out and you are a high level and proficient in your day-to-day practice. So I believe this is good stuff. So thank you for sharing that. And so I want you to spend some time talking about the Institute and its benefits, if you can, at this point.
Oh, sure. And let me just shift gears for a minute, though. One of the things that I do want to be certain to reference, and we are all acutely aware of the fact that this is a very litigious society that we are in. And one of the reasons that education is so important for realtors is the fact that lawsuits can be problematic. And so the better educated that you are, the less likely it is that you're going to not make mistakes. The less likely that you're going to make the type of errors that are problematic for you. You don't want lawsuits coming at you because you practiced in an area that that you weren't proficient in. So I wanted to be sure we got that out there, because that is, again, one of the key issues that comes up with respect to the benefits of education. But going back to your question, Roderick, about the Institute, I think the essence of it was what benefits does the Institute offer? Well, the CCIM Institute offers and works upon 3 basic functions: education, networking, and technology. And we've talked about the technology piece. The technology piece really is one of the great benefits. I don't know if the individuals that are on the call are engaged with large firms, but we know that large firms generally can offer lots of services that many smaller firms cannot. The technology benefit that the Institute provides is that it can level the playing field for real estate practitioners, that they have resources that heretofore had only been available to those large players at the major flag firms. Now you have available to you, as part of the resources offered by the Institute, this technology benefit that is available for candidates and designees. As well, we, of course, have the education issue, and then, of course, the networking. When you have a network of practitioners who are like-minded across the country that you can connect with, and that you have a ability to build relationships with, that ultimately gravitates towards increasing your business capabilities and earning more money. So I think those three things are the true benefits that the Institute offers. Did we lose Roderick?
I feel like we lost Roderick. I'm not sure where he went.
All right. Well, do you have questions in the queue, Matt?
No, nothing in here, Byron.
Okay.
I think you handled that one question early on. So just to go ahead and reemphasize, at GPAR, January 22nd, we're going to be holding the Intro to Commercial Real Estate course. Be here at the GPAR offices from 9 in the morning until 4 in the afternoon. Byron will be our instructor there for that. GPAR will be providing lunch. I dropped the link into the chat, so please check that out. There's an early bird special for registration that runs through about this time next month. So we'll be pushing that out to membership. That link there goes to our website. You can find out more information, some of the bullet points of what Byron was just hitting on. We would love to see that class full. We know that, with the market changing and whatnot, and that's part of this conversation, right? The market has been changing a little bit, and maybe that's an opportunity for you to change a little bit and see what else is out there beyond just regular residential real estate, which the majority of our members deal in. And Roderick, our president this year, he works in that space day in and day out. So this is very important for him to, one, have this conversation today, just to kind of push it out there to let people know about this potential opportunity that they could explore, grab some nuggets to maybe think about, and then dovetailing that into the course that will be happening in January at GPAR. So it's a really nice chance to go ahead and learn more about it. And as a gentleman this morning have been talking about, the cool thing about real estate, there's a little bit of something for everybody, and particularly in that facet, you heard about different ways that you have to really drill down, understand the marketplace. Some really interesting facets to it that maybe the residential side doesn't offer, and it might fit right inside of your wheelhouse. So we got Roderick back in. Technology probably failed a little bit. Hey, Roderick, any last thoughts before we wrap up shop here?
But Byron, go.
I just wanted to add in a point that Matt made, and that on the residential side, you see what's happening in your marketplace with respect to high interest rates, low inventory. Clearly, that is making it challenging for you as realtors on the residential side. We are also experiencing on the commercial side significant changes in the marketplace. And it's the realtor, it's the agent, the broker that is knowledgeable about where things are and where they are heading, that allows them to stay in the game, to continue to make money. The commercial side of the street is having its challenges, but the reality is that you can make money not only in good times, oftentimes you can make more money in bad times. So it's the knowledge that is going to allow you to see where the market is. And as I like to say, it's kind of like Wayne Gretzky always said, He said, I don't skate to where the puck is. I skate to where the puck is going. And that's the same approach that you have to take. You have to see, where is this market going so that you can capitalize on the opportunities that are available to you. But again, part of that is having that knowledge base. So having said that, Roderick, go ahead and ask the question that I believe you were prepared to do.
No, no, thanks, Byron. I don't have any questions. I want to get to the questions. We have a few in the chat. Matt, I lost connection there. I don't know if you answered those questions, but I do want to get those questions answered before we exit today. But what I want to do is make a statement here. I've been in the real estate space for 20 years plus, and started as a residential practitioner and didn't have a strong understanding of what the commercial real estate was. Ironically, when I was in school studying for my license, I know one of my colleagues was sitting next to me. He said, "Hey, Roderick, you should come to me. I'm going to work for a commercial firm." I'm like, "Well, what's that?" Right? I knew residential. I'm just overly excited and ecstatic to have you here and to have the association bring you and its education and its understanding to the space, Byron, because I think it's long overdue. And I just want to thank you very much for participating. I want to thank Matt and the room here for jumping on it, getting some of these nuggets this morning, getting some of this education. But don't stop. Continue to pour in, and this is for the membership here. Continue to pour into this space. To some of the tools that Byron has talked about. GPAR is going to continue to bring this to you. And so I just want to encourage everyone in this space to continue to stay engaged, because the commercial side is a really, really robust an exciting place to be, and the practice, the relationships, the networking. It's really, really something else. So I wanted to share that. Matt, we could take some questions. Byron, if there's some information you want to provide in this space before we disconnect, please do so. You're our guest today, so I don't want to haul. Listen, the folks didn't come here to see me. I'm not as young and talented, as good looking as I used to be. So let's have you pour in with all of the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding for this industry as you can, and as you brought to us today. So, Matt, I'll turn it over to you. Let's get some of those questions answered.
Well,
and Byron, you go ahead, Byron.
Before we jump to the questions, I did want to talk about diversity, because diversity in the commercial real estate space is something that I think we are at a point now where we haven't been before. When I came into the business in late 1970s, early 1980s, there were very few people who looked like me. Today, 15%, as of 2022, 15% of the commercial real estate industry membership is non-white, which is a strong leap forward based upon many efforts that have been made over the recent years to bring people into the industry, to service their communities, so that they understand and know what is needed, what is wanted. Approximately 36.7% of women, of the people in the industry, are women. So we are expanding the diversity within the commercial real estate industry. But the possibilities are absolutely wide open today for individuals to create a more diverse environment in the commercial real estate sector. Corporations are seeking more diverse staff. Corporations that deal with outside brokerage firms are insisting that the firms that they work with have a diverse staff, and investment and development opportunities abound. They're just unlimited. So think about that in terms of your potential involvement in the commercial side of the street. And having said that, which is very important to me, having said that, Matt, I'll just go back to you for the questions.
Sure. So we have a question about what types of changes are happening in the commercial side of things, good and bad. You were alluding to that earlier, Byron, that just like on the residential side, some things are changing on your side of the street. What are you seeing and on both sides of that?
Well, what we are seeing now is we had a stellar period from say 2011 until 2021. Interest rates were low, money was flowing and free, and a lot of development occurred during that period of time, and some of it perhaps more so than it should have, simply because we tend to engage in excesses during periods of the real estate cycle. In that regard, now interest rates, as I'm sure you all are aware, are very high relative to where they've been. That has impacted valuations, and it is starting to impact the sales and the viability of a lot of properties. Now, that's the bad side of the street, but the good side, particularly if you are an agent or broker, it is going to present potential distress opportunities that you may be able to broker the transactions in. So, as I said previously, there are opportunities on the upside of the market. There are also opportunities on the downside of the market. And you just have to be able to identify where those opportunities are. So I hope that answers that question, Matt.
Yes. All right. So we have one last question here, and this goes into talking about it earlier, litigious environment, and NAR has some litigious things going on that have garnered a lot of headline and attention. And the question here is, how can both a residential and commercial, how can one be both residential and commercial at the same time? Is this plausible? How's the NAR lawsuit affecting the commercial side of business?
Well, I don't want to speak to the NAR lawsuit. Obviously, it's going to be appealed. The issue is pretty devastating to the industry. But to the question of working both sides of the street, so to speak, yes, that's possible. If you are licensed, that doesn't say on your license you can only be a residential practitioner. It doesn't say you can only be a commercial practitioner. You are simply licensed as such, as a person capable of performing real estate practice. So the issue becomes, can you do both? The answer is yes, but if you're really going to hit your stride, you're probably going to need to at least focus on one and develop a specialty. The commercial side of the street is very, very broad, it's diverse. So if you are specializing in a specific area, you're likely going to be able to generate more revenue, generate more clients, and provide better service.
All
Hey,
right.
Matt, before
Yeah.
you jump off, there's a question here. I'm not sure where it's coming from, but they asked, as a new practitioner, what type of a new commercial practitioner, what type of analysis should they do? Can we give that to Byron?
I think you just did.
Okay, Byron, can you take that?
Sure. What kind of analysis? Are we talking about investment purchasing property? Or are we talking about leasing? If we're talking about leasing, the analysis that you might be doing would be assessing 2, 3, or 4 leases. Which is the most cost-effective lease, side by side, comparing apples to apples. If we're talking about leasing versus owning, there's another type of analysis that would be done. If you're talking about investment analysis, generally they are certain metrics that we use for commercial real estate investment analysis. Those would be things like a capitalization rate, an internal rate of return. We use something called discounted cash flow analysis and cash on cash return. And then lastly, something called capital accumulation comparison. So I know that may sound like a different language to you, and this is why jumping into the business just cold can be really problematic. But those are the kinds of sophisticated analyses that are done by commercial real estate practitioners.
Thanks, Brian. I hope that answers the question. Mark, you have a question? Just open up and jump right in, Mark.
Thank you. Yeah, I attended the full day on Monday at the Triple Play last year, and all the stuff that you just mentioned, all the different calculations and the calculators is really difficult for me to do. I have been in the business for 8 years, and I have a handful of people that come to me and are looking for commercial opportunities. I guess at this point, like, I've been pretty successful in the residential world. You just sort of answer that question, is to stay in your lane. But with these people that are, have my ear or are potential clients, even people that are getting into the commercial rental spaces now, I mean, where do we turn for a referral network to sort of make sure that they're getting the service that they need, but we can still sort of be the relationship point of origin? Am I making any sense?
Sure, it makes a lot of sense. What I would tell you would be twofold. One, if you're in a larger firm, perhaps there's a commercial point person in that firm that referrals are given to. Years ago, one of the large regional firms, I did a lot of training for the company, and they found that they had to limit or reduce the lawsuits that they were engaged or that were being filed against them for commercial malfeasance or misfeasance. And so they initially had point persons in each office that commercial had to be referred to. So that might be a possibility for you. If you don't have that, if you're not in a large firm, if you're in a smaller firm, perhaps, and if you want to get involved in the commercial side and learn, why don't you partner up with a commercial practitioner outside of your firm, where you give a referral? You're going to lose a lot of the commission, but you're going to learn at the same time. Does that make sense?
It's a win for me. If the client served and you make some money and you're, same time, it's a win. So I don't see it as a loss.
All right. Very good, Mark. Anyone else?
All right. I think we're up against the hour here. We're ready to wrap up. Any last thoughts and words, Roderick?
Mark, no last words from me. Again, I just want to give thanks, Byron, for jumping on, spending your Monday morning with us after an amazing holiday week. And I want to thank the room for jumping on and being engaged. And again, we'll continue this starting January 22nd with that initial intro class. And Matt and myself, we're available for additional questions. Byron, I don't know if you want to have folks reach out to you. If you want to put a number in the chat or something like that, it's totally up to you. I don't want to impose on your time, but it's your call. And just want to thank everybody for joining us this morning. So with that, Matt, I'll turn it over to you to take us home.
All right, great.
I'm Matt. I just will put my contact in the chat box here. And I thank everybody for coming on and listening. Certainly, if you do want to have a way to jumpstart your activity, join us, your commercial activity, join us on January 22nd. And I look forward to meeting and working with you. And thank you.